Last month, my husband and I took a luxury trip to France, Belgium, and England on points. The sticker price would have been many tens of thousands of dollars if we had paid out of pocket. But today, I am going to show you how much we actually spent and how you can recreate a similar trip to Europe. In case we haven't met, hello, my name is Julia and I am the founder of GeoBreeze Travel. And we typically save our clients more than $30,000 in travel in the first 6 months of working with our team. And we want to provide you with a clear path to luxury travel with these step-by-step tutorials too. Viewer-suggested topics for these tutorial videos are always welcome, so let us know if there is a destination that you would like covered. Okay, let's jump right in with how we saved a lot of money on some flights that we had to rebook at the very last minute. So let's talk about the outbound flight from the US over to Europe. My original plan was to fly from Los Angeles into Paris. We would do a positioning flight from Las Vegas into Los Angeles. But as sometimes happens in the points world, we had to redo our flights at the last minute once again, like we did with our Malaysia trip. Because last January, they let me know that our flight had been changed, and being the silly person I am, I only looked at the flight time change. So I'm like, oh, it moved by 5 minutes from 4:55 to 4:50. We are totally fine. And I did not look at the fact that they changed it by more like a day. So I didn't see this until we were about ready to check in, maybe like 2 days before the flight. And I was like, oh, I'm going to lose out on a day of Paris because of this. And I didn't want that to happen. So we just canceled our Air France flights, had the points redeposited. I'll use them on a different day. And instead, we got to fly direct from Las Vegas into Europe, but with Discover Airlines, also known or previously known as Eurowings, which is a flight company owned by Lufthansa. And there's currently no availability to recreate the flight that we took, so we're going to show you how to book it for the return flight. There is one that shows Frankfurt back to Las Vegas on July 1st. So let's see if that actually exists with Aeroplan. So this is what we flew. We flew Eurowings Discover between Las Vegas but over to Frankfurt. These don't show up very often. It's very rare to get a direct flight from Las Vegas straight into Europe, so we were very excited to find this also because there were 2 seats available. So we'll just save our Air France flights for another day. We saved ourselves a lot of money by not having to do positioning flights into Los Angeles. We didn't have to get a hotel for a night in Los Angeles. We just flew straight into Germany and continued the trip from there and actually got a few more days in Europe that way. P.S. This flight that's direct between Las Vegas and Frankfurt is very, very expensive. It's not the most luxurious of flights. If you want to see the full hotel review, check out the Instagram highlights on my Instagram page. But it was not the most luxurious of flights, and the reason that it's so expensive for a one-way flight is because it's flying into a smaller airport like Las Vegas. So we'll get to the full trip cost at the end of this video, but I just wanted to point out that this one's going to price out at a very high cents per point because we did get it for only 70,000 points per person. But the cents per point looks a little bit high just because we are flying into a smaller airport or from a smaller airport. It's not necessarily because the flight was super glamorous or luxurious, because I assure you it was not. If you love free resources that let you maximize your points, check out geobreezetravel.com/quiz. There, you will find a free short quiz that will point you to the best resources depending on whether you are trying to earn more points, make the most of your points, or something else. And by taking the free quiz, you will also get access to the free Points 101 course, which is a fantastic resource for anyone who is just getting started with points and miles. Okay, so now it was time to actually start the vacation that we originally had planned in Paris. Check out some of the incredible hotels that we stayed at and how you can stay at the same hotels for virtually $0 out of pocket. So once we got to Germany, we needed a hotel for a couple of days, and I wanted to use some World of Hyatt points for this so that we could stay in a Hyatt hotel and then work our way towards
globalist status. And within Frankfurt, there's actually a lot of hotels that are pretty good deals, especially with points. So, for example, we stayed at the Linder Hotel Frankfurt Main Plaza. It starts at only 8,000 points per night, but it is really cheap at 127 euro. For as cheap as these hotels are, I would actually pay the cash price of 127 euro for this. For the Lindner Hotel Frankfurt Sports Park, this one is right about even, 5,000 points per night or 107 euros per night. Either one is super affordable. For the Kennedy 89, 15,000 points versus 227 euro per night, I would opt for 227. Or there's the Hyatt Regency Men's, which is 12,000 points per night or 228 euro, and that is about even as well. You also have the option of the Hyatt Place Frankfurt Airport, which I've also stayed at, and it is fantastic. It's a category 1 for some reason. It's only 5,000 points per night and a very high cents per point because it's 200 some euro. And unlike most Hyatt places, if you want to get free breakfast at this one, you do have to be a globalist, which is a little bit weird. But let's talk about why we chose the Lindner Hotel Frankfurt Main Plaza, which is a JDV hotel. So as we mentioned, it starts at just 8,000 points per night, which is pretty good. But also, they have this 2-bedroom skyline suite, which has a fantastic view of the river. It's only a 30-minute walk to downtown from this hotel. My husband and I each had separate bedrooms to do work during the day, and it's only 16,000 points per night, even though it's a premium suite night. And that is a pretty good cents per point, because if we check the cash price for that particular room, I think it was a little bit more expensive when we were looking at this, but it's like 500 euro per night. So if I were to opt for 16,000 points or 500 euro, 16,000 points definitely wins out. And with this hotel, you have so much space to just spread out. It's not the most luxurious of properties, but the location is fantastic. There's tons of restaurants within walking distance of the area, and it's pretty easy to reach by public transit and train as well. So that was our first hotel once we got to Frankfurt, and then we went ahead and made our way over to Paris. So let's talk about those hotels next. For our Paris segment, we stayed in Paris for about 4 nights, and for the first night we stayed at the Hotel du Louvre. It's a category 7 hotel, which means that we could maximize a category 1 through 7 certificate. I wanted to stay most of the time at the Park Hyatt Paris Vendôme, which is where we stayed during nights 2 through 4 with our Paris segment. But for the first night, we weren't allowed to use the certificate here because it is a category 8. So we stayed one night at the Hotel du Louvre, and it's beautiful. It is very, very luxurious, and as the name suggests, it is right across from the Louvre. Also, I preferred the breakfast at the Hotel du Louvre a little bit more than at the Park Hyatt Paris Vendôme, even though this one is a much, much more expensive hotel. We also had the option to stay at the Hotel Paris Madeleine, but we chose the Hotel du Louvre instead. Let me know if you guys think I missed out and I should have picked the Hyatt Paris Madeleine because I haven't stayed there before. But let's talk about the Park Hyatt Paris Vendôme. So this normally goes for 45,000 points per night or more than 1,000 euro. And we got upgraded to a deluxe room that had a balcony. We originally booked the Park Room King for 45,000 points, and it was the weekend of the French Open, so they were pretty sold out with all the suites. We didn't get a suite upgrade. There weren't any standard suites available for a standard upgrade certificate, but we did get upgraded to a Park Room King balcony on the 2nd floor. It was pretty chilly when we were there, so we didn't even get to really enjoy being out on the balcony. I just took some photos, but this is where you would be if you go into the balcony rooms. It is on the 2nd floor of the Park Hyatt Paris Vendôme, and we got to do that for about 45,000 points per night. Now, it can be a little bit difficult to find availability at this hotel, so here's a quick trick. When trying to book rooms at hard-to-book hotels like Park Hyatt Paris, Park Hyatt Kyoto, Elie La Ventana Big Sur, all of those bucket list ones, I like to just use a Waze and see what the availability calendar is here. Because the Hyatt calendar will show you what the cost is for different dates, but it's not going to tell you about the availability. Whereas with a Waze, we can get around that problem. So if we say Park Hyatt Paris Vendôme, and I'm going to pick some dates that are very far off in the future to help with award availability. So let's just say sometime in April. Let's go ahead and click search. And this date that I picked does happen to be available, but in case it was not, you can just click on the name of the hotel, click this arrow, click on award availability, and it will show you which dates are available. So if you want to book this in April or May next year, it looks like they've got wide open availability. But as you get closer into the date, like here you can see the week of Thanksgiving, they're mostly sold out of points rooms. October is getting pretty sparse. Same with September, and I imagine any time around the Olympics is going to be pretty rough to get a room here. But to see all of the open availability, I would just check Aways, and you should be able to find a room that way.
If you are in the market for a new card so that you can earn points to travel like that, but you're not sure what card to get, check out our free credit card consultation form at geobreezetravel.com/consultations. We will send you a free personalized recommendation based on your particular goals, budget, and lifestyle. Or if you do already know what card you would like to get and you would like to support this show when you apply for your next card, we have all of our affiliate links listed for different cards on geobreezetravel.com/cards. Up next are the hotels that we stayed at in Belgium and London, and how to decide when you should use points versus cash, and some different techniques to get upgraded to premium suites.
After Paris, we took a quick train ride over to Belgium, and hotels in Belgium on points are pretty sparse. My primary is Hyatt and my secondary program is with Marriott, so that's what I was filtering down to when I was looking for hotels. There's not really a lot with Hyatt in the Brussels area, and when I was looking through different Marriott hotels, most of the options didn't really have a good points rate. The Sheraton is better with cash. This Marriott Executive Apartments didn't even have a points option. The Dominican didn't have a points option. Marriott Grand Palace was better with cash. Residence Inn was better with cash. Courtyard Brussels didn't have a points option. Loft was better with cash. Moxie was better with cash. Courtyard was better with cash. So you're seeing a pattern here. What we ended up doing was staying at the Marriott Executive Apartments Brussels because since this was such a long trip for us, it was about 2 weeks, we needed to get some work done in the middle of it. My husband was running out of PTO days and I needed to just check in with the team, answer some client emails. So with the Marriott Executive Apartments, it is more like an apartment style where you have suites and guest rooms and you have a living room, a bedroom, you have a fully functioning kitchen, and most importantly for us, there was also laundry and it was completely free. It took a really long time to do laundry. I think it took 2.5 to 3 hours to wash, 2.5 to 3 hours to dry. So it is a whole day endeavor to do laundry here. But I mean, the laundry was free. The 1-bedroom suite that we booked wasn't too expensive. Here for the standard nights, it's currently $273 for the dates that I put in. And I think that was pretty close to what we paid as well for a 1-bedroom apartment. No points hotels in Belgium. We just paid for the cash rate for this, but great location. Even though we did have titanium status, it does not come with free breakfast. It's attached to the Renaissance Hotel next door, so that's where you would check in. And unfortunately, you don't get any breakfast benefits, but there are some really good cafes right around the corner. So if you don't have status, sometimes it's just cheaper to just upgrade to the room you want or to purchase breakfast instead of trying to chase status throughout the year, especially if you're just doing 1 or 2 big trips each year. And then the last leg of our trip was in London. Once again, I wanted to maximize for Hyatt stays, and there are quite a few different Hyatt hotels in the London area. Some people like the Hyatt Regency, some people like the Great Scotland Yard Hotel. I know some people have stayed in the Andaz as well. So you have lots of different options here. The Hyatt Regency Churchill is a popular option as well. What we did was we stayed at the Great Scotland Yard Hotel for 3 nights. So we paid 75,000 points to stay in a standard room. Let me tell you, the rooms in this hotel are very, very tiny, as is standard in London and a lot of the other European hotels. So before checking in, I reached out to the concierge and I asked, hey, are there any upgrades that might become available for Globalist members? And they said that they wouldn't be able to upgrade me all the way to a Sherlock suite, which is a premium suite with just a standard room certificate. But they did have this Costler suite with one bed available if I wanted to book that one with a standard upgrade certificate. So I went ahead and did that. And then also they said if we wanted to upgrade to a Sherlock suite, we could do that, but it would be an additional 120 pounds per night, so about $150 per night. And we went ahead and did that. And what I was not expecting for this suite, it actually comes with an all-inclusive mini bar. So we had the option to have a few free beers or wine, champagne, candy bars, different snacks every night. And I downed so much free sparkling water. I know people would probably expect, oh, we should go for the alcoholic drinks, but we were walking around so much every day that I think I was probably downing 2 or 3 liters of fancy sparkling water from this hotel. So that is where we ended up staying, and this suite would normally cost more than 900 pounds per night, so well over $1,000, but we were able to get that with some combination of 25,000 points per night with Hyatt, a suite upgrade certificate, and then also a smaller surcharge of about 120 pounds per night. So not a bad deal, and I'll show you the cents per point for that coming right up.
Are you enjoying these types of tutorial videos? If yes, please let me know. Click that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel for even more points and miles tips every week. Up next, we're covering how we booked our return flights on Virgin Atlantic Upper Class, and the program to keep your eye on for some of the best redemptions in the industry. Here's the play.
For our return flight, I was once again very excited to not have to do any positioning flights, and that might just be the way that I aim to travel as much as possible in the future as well. But there was a direct flight from London to Las Vegas with Virgin Atlantic. And what made this deal even better was that when we booked these flights last August, there was a transfer bonus from Bilt over to Virgin Atlantic. And I think at the time we had gold status. So we had 125% bonus when moving Bilt points over to Virgin Atlantic. So we were able to book these 2 business class tickets from London over to Las Vegas for only 60,000 points total for both business class flights, which is phenomenal. And sometimes it can be hard to line up those different transfer bonuses, but whenever I see one with Bilt where it's the 100% or more, I take a really good look at them and I'm like, okay, do I want to go to France? Because they've had this with Air France or KLM, to go to Amsterdam. Do I want to go to England with Virgin Atlantic? I think they've had Hawaiian Airlines before. They've had this transfer bonus with a few different partners, and it is very, very much worth looking at because you can get some immense value out of their program this way. To find these flights, we already knew when we were coming back, so that made it a little bit easier because I just checked, hey, is there something from London to Las Vegas the day we were flying back? Yes, fantastic. If you're a little bit more flexible, what I would do is go to seats.aero, click Explore, Virgin Atlantic, and I filtered the arrival airport down to Las Vegas, which is where I live, and then also ran the search for London Heathrow. And so here you'll see all of the different dates where there is business class available for 67.5 thousand points, which is the standard price to fly upper class from London back to Las Vegas. And then to test out one of these, let's just say May 2nd on the Virgin Atlantic website, I would go to virginatlantic.com, click on rewards flights, say one way from London Heathrow over to Las Vegas on May 2nd. I'll just search for one person and then click search. And then from here, we'll click continue. And here we see it's 67.5 thousand points, plus a little bit more in taxes and fees. It's 646 pounds, which is 700 some dollars. But given that there was a transfer bonus and that we would get to avoid any kind of positioning flight, you'll see with our final cost breakdown how the cents per point actually worked out quite well, even though the taxes and fees do tend to be a bit higher when you are flying out of England.
Our last walkthrough covers the total cost of the trip in points and money, and how much value we got out of our points to save the tens of thousands of dollars off of the sticker price of this trip. And if you are interested in leveling up your points and miles game and maximizing your points, we have a couple of options for you. The first one is the GeoBreeze Travel Patreon, which you can join starting at just $5 through patreon.com/GeoBreezeTravel. Each month, we prepare personalized step-by-step tutorials for the exact routes that our members request. We also provide open forum group coaching, where you can ask any questions that you have about points, miles, and credit cards in general. And we talk through some of the tricks that I don't really mention on social media. And if you are looking to get even more free travel with points, and you are a business owner or individual who spends more than $100,000 per year on expenses, check out our one-on-one points portfolio management service. We typically save our clients somewhere between $30,000 and $60,000 in travel in the first 6 to 12 months of working with our team. If that sounds like something that you would be interested in, book a free intro chat with us at geobreezetravel.com/intro call to learn more. Okay, let's walk through the total cost of the trip.
Let's talk about the total cost for the entire trip. So this actually has fewer segments than most of my trips because unlike ones in the past, like this Hong Kong and Vietnam trip that we went over during a prior video, we don't have all of the positioning flights to Los Angeles. We don't have to stay an extra night in hotel. We don't have to stay an extra night in Los Angeles or San Francisco. And that is because we got to fly directly from Las Vegas to Europe, and we got to fly directly from Europe back to Las Vegas, which I have to say is fantastic. So this first flight, which was Las Vegas over to Frankfurt, we flew with Eurowings or Discover Airlines business class. I transferred 140,000 points from Amex to Air Canada at pretty much the last minute for 2 tickets in business class. And like I mentioned, this is a very expensive flight normally, just because it's departing out of Las Vegas, which is considered a smaller airport, instead of something like San Francisco or Los Angeles. While we were in Frankfurt, we stayed 2 nights at the Lindner Hotel in Frankfurt, and that was 32,000 points for 2 nights in the premium suite, which would otherwise have been about $1,250 for those 2 nights that we stayed, and that's 4 cents per point, which is pretty good for Hyatt. Between each of the cities in Europe, we took the train instead of flying, and that's largely because the trains will drop off and pick up right at the city center. It's very close, generally, to the different hotels we were staying at, whereas if we were going to fly, London Heathrow is well outside of where we were staying within London, and so it's going to add another 30 or 45 minutes just to get back into the city center from the airports, which is a significant percentage of the trips, so we just took trains everywhere. From Frankfurt to Paris, we paid about $286 for 2 tickets. For Paris over to Brussels, we paid $372 for 2 tickets. That one was in business premier class, and I highly do not recommend paying extra to do that. It was terrible. And let me know if you want more details on that, but it was a sad business experience. Coach would have been completely fine. And then from Brussels to London, we spent about $250 for coach tickets there as well. While we were in Paris, we spent nothing to stay at the Hotel du Louvre. This is just a category 1 through 7 certificate that we used for 1 night. And the hotel that night I priced out at $644. For the second Paris hotel, we spent 3 nights at the Park Hyatt Paris Vendôme, spent 135,000 points, and we did get upgraded to a Park Room King with a balcony, so we were getting about 4 cents per point there. When we were in Brussels, we stayed at the Marriott Executive Apartments. This one was 3 nights and it was just a cash stay with Marriott. We spent about $700 for those 3 nights there. And then in London, we stayed at the Great Scotland Yard Hotel, moving Chase points over to Hyatt, spent 75,000 points plus a standard suite upgrade certificate, plus about $150 per night to upgrade to the premium Sherlock suite. And that one would have normally been close to $2,000. I think it was running at around $1,700 per night while we were there. It was a pretty expensive time to be in London because it was MLB takeover weekend, plus there were a lot of other things going on. So we got 6 cents per point just because the cash rate would have been pretty high that weekend. And then to fly back from London to Las Vegas, we flew Virgin Atlantic upper class, and for 2 tickets in business class, we only spent 60,000 points total because of that 125% bonus from Built to Virgin Atlantic that we were able to take advantage of last August. The taxes and fees are pretty high with this one. It's almost $800 in taxes and fees per person is what we paid, but the sticker price for that flight was really, really high as well. Again, because we're flying directly into Las Vegas instead of something like Los Angeles. And so that one has a crazy value of 28 cents per point because of the transfer bonus and also because it is such an expensive cash flight normally. So in total, what we spent and saved, this would have been a $46,000 or $47,000 trip if we include everything in here. We spent in total close to $4,000. We spent $3,787 for everything and 442,000 points as well. So it's averaging out to about 10 cents per point, which I am very happy with. All of these points were either flexible points like Chase or Amex or Hyatt in this situation, and those are going to get a higher cents per point valuation than something like Marriott or IHG anyway. So I'm very happy with the 10 cents per point valuation for this. Let me know what you think, if this is a trip that you would want to take, if you would recommend any other hotels in Paris or London or anything else next time, any other flights. Let me know in the comments if you would take this trip or if you would do anything differently.
I hope you found those tutorials useful. Also, let me know what other types of tutorials you would like to see in the comments. Suggestions for future topics are always welcome. In the meantime, if you enjoyed these tutorials, I think you will enjoy this video next.